What up, what up, what up? Ibn Webb, Quran, some here, official thanks thing I got going on. Gabe, Baltimore, great guy. My man. Like I said, I had a pleasure, playing with him down in North Ramsey as a teenager here, just to see him grow and just become the man that he is, the coach that he is, et cetera here. Been trying to flag him down for a second here. So I got a few minutes of his time here. So get him on, let him talk a little bit about his walk, and we're just gonna go from there. Hold tight. Peace, man. How you been?
What's up, brother? Long
How's
time,
every
man.
I know. How's everybody? Family good?
Family's good, man. Life is good, brother. I can't complain. How about yourself?
Likewise, man. Doing good, man. Thank you. And thank you, man. I know next you're about to get the proper authorities on me for stalking charges too. So thanks for just
Nah, bro.
okay. Yeah,
Nah,
I
we
know you
good,
running
bro.
around, man. How y'all looking? I know fall season and everything.
Yeah, we learning every day. Fall and summer. We just trying to get better, one day at a time, brother. One day at a
Okay.
time. We lost a lot, so it's like a whole. I wouldn't call it a rebuild, but it's a reset for sure.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they got the right man to take care of that reset though.
Yes, sir. Let's get to
Yeah,
it.
nah. Cool, man. Be a little nosy here, man. I know my time's limited, so I'm gonna make sure, man, I get to it here. Just hey, where'd you grow up at?
I'm from Irvington, bro. I'm from Irvington, New Jersey. Grew up mostly in Irvington, a little bit of North. Bouncing my grandmother's house down that way, but I stayed in Irvington. Grew up in Irvington. Um, Born and raised in Irvington. Um,
Uh, yeah.
played. Started basketball at a school that used to be called St. Paul's. I think years later they called it Good Shepherd. Some good basketball came out of there, and then from there. I went on to play at Roselle Catholic, and that's really where the basketball career started at Roselle
Okay.
Catholic. Yep,
Before we jump to Roselle here, just that childhood in Irvington, man. How was it? How would you describe it? Just growing
it
up.
was um it was good. I stayed in my neighborhood was pretty tough. I grew up in a tough neighborhood. But I had both parents. I had my father there. He was like the father for the whole hood. Everybody.
Mm,
He was everybody's dad. But it was a close community. We played outside till the lights came on, and it was time to go in the house. Everybody kind of looked out for each other. And just like any other urban city, you had, the ills of what was going on, the drugs had started to hit. So you saw the community kind of shift a little bit. But overall I had a great childhood, I would say. Great childhood.
nah. Good stuff, him. And I know with sports and what you gravitated to early on here. I mean, whether it was sports or different activities, was it something you gravitated to earlier as far as a kid?
Yeah, that's what made my experience good because a lot of my time was spent in sports. I played baseball, I played basketball, I took martial arts for 8 years. Like so I was always busy, always on the run, playing AAU basketball, playing local basketball, playing outside. We would walk from Irvington. Anybody like time wise, we would walk from Irvington to Union just to
Mm.
play because they had rims with nets. So we would walk, and so that walk is probably that's a good 60-minute walk. We
Yeah.
walk up Irving and then walk back at night. And we used to do
Mm.
this all day. We go to Irvington Park, it get cold. We would play with gloves on. Like it was just,
Hmm.
kids being kids, being out. We were in the street, but doing, sport things in the street. So um I always tell people, keep your the youth active, and you have
Yes.
less idle time. Guided and active could really save you from becoming a product of your environment. So
Hmm.
despite the environment, like I said, it was a tough neighborhood, but instead of doing the things that was going on in that immediate neighborhood, I was out playing ball. I was traveling with these people. I was at this camp. I was baseball, and that's kind of the way my life's been. Sports help guide me in life, you know.
Now
So
you only child.
only child, just me, no brothers, no sisters, just a bunch of cousins and a
Hmm.
gang of friends that's like family. Yep.
And then even I know you mentioned spots going to this. I'm sure you spent some time up in Irvington Powell too.
Yeah, played ball at every spot that's there.
Yeah,
I played
yeah.
ball, man. Irvington, PAL. Back then we played probably since I probably picked it up about eight. So I was about eight. I
Okay.
played at St. Rocco's. I played St. Rocco's in Newark. I played at Irvington, PAL, where everybody played, tough league. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Went on to play AAU for the North
Mm-hmm.
Rams. That's where you and I had actually met.
Yeah.
Um, and just from there, it just exposed me to so many people and playing in different places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of that North Rams, that was like my first time even like touching the whole AAU circuit as well
Yep.
too. And I was wrestling even back then, like what was going to be the go-to sport. So I knew eventually it would probably be football. But just even
Hmm.
playing, but just playing down there, just that whole experience. I don't know about you. I know those who I do talk to, man. I just remember like just going up in there, even when we didn't practice, seeing the older head, like it was the who's who from
Man.
from around. It was crazy.
Yeah. I just told the kids today, we're in the weight room and we were talking about AAU and how it's changed. I won't even go into the AAU nowadays and what I see, but the one thing that's a fact is that there weren't that many AAU programs back then. Now anybody has AAU teams, thousands of AAU teams. Somebody could just start one up. My child didn't make it. Let me start a team, make my own. But back then, you had five or six real programs in the state. So in order to make an AAU team, you really had to be, top of the top in terms of competition. There were guys that made, I can remember a guy in particular made he might have been like a third team all county guy, and he couldn't make that North Ram team. Just couldn't make
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It was tough, man. You had to bring it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
those days definitely stand out, and the friendships stand out. Like I said, here we are years later, and we still have
Right.
that connection. Some of the guys that we played with, I still speak to here and there. So those connections and that competition is what I miss. You know?
No, no, definitely. And then even during that time there, I know you went over to Roselle Catholic. Was it any other schools of interest you thought about going to back then?
Yeah, I mean, in my hometown, Irvington, a lot of my friends went to Irvington. They had actually a good team back then. Van Robinson, who
Yeah.
was like, my brother,
Hmm.
and he's the one who kind of pulled me into coaching. But he went to Irvington, so we were all talking about going together. And then I had other schools, the Roselle Catholics, the Union Catholics at the time, pretty much all the Catholic schools. And I kind of settled on Roselle Catholic. It was just a good fit for me academically and um, athletically. Pat Hagan, who was the coach there for like 40 years, he just had an impact on me, and I felt like that would be the best fit. So it ended up working out, the way it was supposed to. So I don't regret any of it. But it was definitely a process. I was definitely juggling where I wanted to go with so many different schools, but that's where I settled and ended up finishing my career there.
Yeah, because it was crazy. The time that you were there, that's when Irvington went on a run, the
Yeah,
county runs. They went on them
yeah,
county runs when you went over there. Now, did you end up playing baseball out there too, Roselle, or you just
yeah. So
played?
I played baseball in the beginning. I think I want to say just my freshman year,
Okay.
and I was, baseball, and it's funny, I used to have this talk with my dad. Baseball was actually my best sport. I was a really, really, really good baseball player, shortstop, pitcher, and like I played senior league and American Legion and all that in Irvington. And no exaggeration, I was batting like 540, like
So you ain't get
545,
out. Yeah, yeah.
never getting out. Like, and led the
Hmm.
league. I hit the most home runs in Irvington Little League history to this day. It's still there. Like, so
Hmm.
I enjoyed it, but it wasn't, basketball was my passion. That was really my
Okay.
passion. And I think once I went to Roselle Catholic, just the dynamic of the teams and it just wasn't the same. So I made that decision just to focus on basketball. That's how that went.
Now, now when you got there, were you playing varsity right from the door, or did you have to work your way up?
Yeah, my freshman year, I played a little bit of JV,
Okay.
just touch. But from there, um, I was going for that spot. And they had some good teams. The varsity team was pretty good. And then actually the JV team, but, um, that year, I think they went undefeated. They might have
Okay.
went undefeated that year. So I can't, I had the varsity point guard and I had the point guards that played JV to compete with. But the dog said, I'm coming for
Oh
what's
yeah.
mine,
Oh yeah.
and so I ended up making it, and then just the senior had got injured, and from there I took the spot, and I just never gave it back. That was it, you know.
Now, Roselle back then, were they in a conference or were they independent?
They were in the conference. It was the Mountain Valley conference back then. So you
Okay.
had Hillside,
Okay.
you had
Gotcha. Okay.
Roselle, North Plainfield, a couple other teams on that caliber. So it wasn't what it is today. Roselle
Mm-hmm.
Capital changed over the years, but it was a competitive conference. One of my years we placed in the top 20, so we had a couple good teams going on out there. Yep.
How'd y'all do in those Union County tournaments?
Man, it was rough. We always got to semifinals and ended up losing to Linden. With
Mm-hmm.
Wally, they had Wally Dixon and Akil Taylor, a couple guys I play AAU with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the other year might have been Elizabeth. I can't remember. And then
Okay.
at that time, we would advance to the states because we win in 20-something games. We get to the states and we had the choice of St. Anthony's or Marist. And at
Yeah,
that time,
take your pick. Yeah.
yeah, and at that time, Marist had 4 Division I players on that team.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
we ended up losing in the state like every year to one of those teams. So
Mm.
that's just the way it goes, though.
Now, during those years, you play AAU straight through high school?
Yeah, I played with the North Rams from since I was 12 all the way, and I stayed. Um,
Okay.
so so Mel Knight was the coach of the North Rams, who was Brevin Knight, and played for the Cavaliers, of course,
Yeah,
professionally.
we drove Mr. Knight
Yeah,
crazy. We drove him
yeah, yeah,
crazy, especially out in Vegas. All that. Yeah, we
yeah.
drove him crazy.
So he's the one. I thank him because he was the one who exposed me as a kid from Irvington. I didn't even know what AAU basketball was. I was just
Mm-hmm.
playing locally, and I ended up playing against Brevin. He played for another middle school, Our Lady of
Sorrows or something like that.
Sorrows or something like that in
Something like
South
that.
Orange.
Yeah.
So we played them, and it's a true story. That's my man, but I had to give it to him. And about 45 points later, this night came after the game. He said, "Hey man, who you play AU for?" I'm like, "What? What's that?" So he started
Mm-hmm.
explaining it to me, and I came down and just became part of the program with Brev and everybody else. And then when he went and started his own program in East Orange, I just ended up staying in Newark with Brian Crawford, and I stayed all the way through. So
Mm-hmm. How's that
definitely
experience
thankful to
how's that experience with B? Just
man.
all the way
Great,
through. Yeah.
yeah. Brian Crawford is a legend, man, and in the AAU game, and he raised so many guys and out of that North program that needed, that mentorship and taking us. We was all over the country, man. In Ohio, Canada, Cali, Arizona. We're traveling as 13, 14-year-old kids, just being exposed to other things. So I always thank him, give him his flowers, still to this day because he impacted a lot of lives with that program. We played the top of the top. We played in the Gaucho leagues, played in
Mm-hmm.
New York. Any league that was out, North Rams was out there making a statement. So definitely developed me as a player and even as a person. Trying to be a better young person and a better coach as I became older, and then thinking about some of the things he did with us. So
Mm-hmm.
he gave back, and I think that's important to give back to the youth in the community because it makes a difference, big impact.
No, definitely, man. And then I know even with those summers with AAU, what other ways did you work on your game between the summer and actually the regular season back then? Because I know it's a little different
Yeah,
now, but what worked for you back then?
yeah. For me, for us, we didn't have trainers. We didn't have personal trainers. We
Yeah.
didn't have these athletic facilities. So we played a lot outside, man. Believe it or not, we just go to the courts. Like I said, we used to walk to different cities, Union, surrounding cities because they had nicer courts. We would play in Irvington Park, no bent rim, no net, crack ground, you dribble it, you got to work on your handle, and that's what made us better. And of course, we had the PAL, so that was the league wise. But we really just worked on our game all day, all night, cold, summer, wherever, and just got better playing against older guys. We would be in the park playing against grown men,
Mhm.
all day. So I think those lessons is what toughened us up playing 21s and roughs and just playing until you had a knack for skill. You getting double teamed, so you got to figure out how to get there so you can get to 21. You got to get a rebound, so you got instinct to just go after a shot. So those little things that were happening without it being a drill, right? But you were drilling certain skills, and that kind of transferred to your game and your toughness because you had to be tough to play in those games.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And then even outside of basketball, here was college wasn't. I mean, it was definitely an option. There was no getting around that as far as senior year. I know you thinking about schools. Did you want to play in college, or was high school good enough for you? What was going on back
Now,
then?
so in my high school, going into my senior year, so I had a couple Division II offers. Visited those schools. Some of them were up in like Northeast Maine, Vermont area. Um,
Hmm.
Took a visit. It was okay. When I encourage our youth, when you think about college, you got to think about where you're going to be for the next 4 years, right? With or without basketball. Like, is this where I
Yeah.
see myself? So, what ended up happening my senior year, I ended up tearing my MCL, my knee. So, I only played maybe a little more than half a season my senior year. Um, so some of those offers weren't on the table anymore. So I had to think like, where do I want to be? Like,
Yeah.
what do I want to go just for basketball? Or do I want to go and be somewhere where I want to be? So long story short, I ended up randomly going to Hampton University on a college tour with my friend's uncle. He said, "Hey, I'm gonna take you on a HBCU college tour." All right, cool. We literally loaded up the car, packed up. He drove us, and we went to a few schools. We went to Howard, we went to Delaware State, Howard, and DC. Then we took 95 down to 64. Went to Norfolk, Virginia State, um, Virginia Union, and the last stop was Hampton. Got back to Hampton, and from the minute I got there, I'm like, this is it. This is where I want to go. And I remember it because I called my mother and I said, "Hey, mom," I said, I want to go to Hampton." She's like, "What? What about so and so school in basketball?" I was like, "This is where I want to be." And
Hmm.
she's like, "You sure?" I'm like, "This is it." So she ended up talking to my dad about it. And my dad said, "Hey, he better go and take that scholarship and play basketball. He go to Hampton. I'm not paying for it." Straight like
Hmm.
that. And my
Hmm.
mom said, "You know what? Is that what you really want to do?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, whatever I got to do to get you there, I'll do. If I got to take a loan, I'll do what I do." And that's what she ended up doing. I went to Hampton, and I ended up walking on and making the team as a freshman because the head coach was actually my phys ed teacher. He's like,
Okay.
"You play ball? Like, you need to be." I said, "Hey, man, I sent you film. You never responded." "Oh, well, no, you need to get here." So I ended up making the team. And then the knee thing happened again. Blew that
Yeah.
knee out, and then that was pretty much it as far as the college collegiate level playing. I would just play intramurals and stuff like that. But that knee pain was serious, and I
Mhm.
wasn't committed enough to go through the whole rehab. So that kind of ended right there after my freshman year.
At that point, mentally, man, how were you? I mean, because you playing ball your whole life, whether it's baseball, football, what have you, there before an injury to just kind of just wipe you out,
Yeah.
so to speak. Here, man. I mean, did it take a toll on you in other aspects of your life?
Yeah, it was rough in the beginning. It was rough because that's all I knew. So everybody like, "Hey, how you doing? What's going on? How you doing at Hampton?" And then I'm like, I'm good. They're like, "What about the ball?" And I'm like, "I stopped playing it." And everybody couldn't believe it. Like, "Nah, not you." And I said, I had to move on. And I don't going to Hampton was the best decision I ever made in life. Like, it changed my life in a lot of ways, from just networking and having a strong group of people that I'm still connected to today, business wise and other. So everything works out, for a reason, and that just happened to work out the way it did. But it's definitely no regrets. If anything, I probably would have went ahead and did the surgery and tried to give it a shot. But at the time, mentally, I just, that pain was so serious. I just said, that's it. It's time to step away. So, but
Okay, how
no
about
regrets.
you mentioned the no regrets and everything, and even just the experience down there, being around people that look like us, man, and wanting to do something with their lives here, like how
Man,
much of an impact was that?
man, listen. and that's why I say it's one of the best decisions of my life because, HBCUs, I encourage, the youth to, if you don't know a lot about it, ask questions, investigate, ask people that went there because you'll get a lot of different opinions about it or what it is. But make sure you get opinions from people that experienced it because that experience of being the majority, right? The one time in life that you're in a place where you're the majority, you're not the minority. Everyone um, is of like mind and similar to you. And then it's even more unique at Hampton. And this is not, a plug. This is just my reality. The truth was, it's even a further connection. Um, it's like it's really like family. Like I could go somewhere and meet someone and they went to Hampton today, and I don't know them and go to school with them. They might have been a different class, but that automatic love is there. They'll lay the carpet out for you. Hey, listen, man, if you need anything, you come to the crib. I meet. It's just family. And when I speak to my other friends who went to other colleges or other PWIs, they didn't have that same experience. And they'll say, "Hey, I wish I would have went to Hampton. I wish I had an opportunity to do that." So um, that choice right there was definitely one that was one of the better decisions I made.
And education, was that always going to be a part of you? I mean, ultimately you're educated now, but back then was that was always the path?
Never thought in a million years that I would be anybody's teacher. So I was a business guy. I was a business management major at Hampton. Came out. I was 20 years old, working in corporate America right off the rip. Suit every day. I was one of. I was in sales management at the time with a Fortune 500 company. I was one of three black managers in the whole region from New Jersey to Maine. So that was the dynamic of people of color in that organization. It just wasn't there. So to be there and be young, 21 years old, company car, it was a great situation for business. You got a sales incentive plan. You could make as much, it was good. So I thought I was going to be in business and climb the ladder and get all the way to the top and retire. And somewhere along the way, I started volunteering coaching at Irvington with, like I said, Ben Robinson was like my brother. So I started helping him out with the program. And I just found a lot of passion and joy in giving back to those kids, particularly those Irvington kids, kind of giving them what I felt they needed or were missing, a lot of them in their lives. And we were young, Bam and I were
Mm-hmm.
young, early 20s when we started. So from there, and that passion, and people would say, you should be a teacher. You good with our kids, you're good with our youth. And I'm like, man, I'm not being no teacher.
Yeah,
I make, da, 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 I'm not going. And so I just never saw it. And then as the years went on, and I got promoted, I went on to do some things in corporate, but I found myself getting more joy out of the coaching. And then at one point, I had a break with the job. I was in between going from one company potentially to another, and I said, let me give it some time and see how it is in the education field. So I took a substitute job. Let me get real in the field and see what
oh,
it
I'm
is.
about to say, oh, you'll find out real quick as a
Yeah, yeah.
sub.
I took a sub job, and I was in I went to a school in Jersey City. So the first
Mm-hmm.
day I get there, there was no place to park. So I parked illegally. Go to school, I teach, I come out, car got a ticket, $100.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next day I come to work, same thing, nowhere to park. I'm getting to work. It was 6:30, 7 in the morning, still nowhere to park.
Nowhere to park. Yeah.
Jersey City, right? Got another ticket, $200. That was my last day. I said, I can't. It's more expensive to pay the tickets than it is to get the sub rate that I got.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from there I came to East Orange as a sub, and I subbed at a third grade level. The teacher was out for an extended amount of time, and I was there for a couple of days. And I still saved them to this day. I got a couple cards from the students, and it said, Mr. Baltimore is the best teacher I ever had. And I had been there for 2 days. And
2
so the
days.
connection that I had, like it was like a calling, like saying, like, you know what, this might be what you need to do. So from there, I still wanted to connect with some of the older kids. I thought that was more of my lane. From volunteering for almost 10 years, it was all high school. So
Mhm.
made a connection to come to the high school as a sub. Went on and got took a test for the to become a business teacher because that was my background, and we have a technical arm here at the campus where they teach students business. You know,
Okay.
learn business, learn the basics, learn the fundamentals. So I became a business teacher, and I've just been here ever since. And taught business, and then now I'm in a disciplinarian role. And as that was happening, that also allowed me to be a head coach because now I was full time in the school system. So I went from being an assistant with BAM at Columbia to becoming the head coach here. So that's kind of how that transition happened.
No, I actually say that because, like I said, I know I recently spoke with Bam, and so you ran with him from Irvington, and you went over to Columbia with him as well.
Yeah, hey,
Okay.
I was with him at Irvington for 10 years as a volunteer, all 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
but I never treated it like I was a volunteer. You know, I treated it like I was his main assistant guy. You know, I would try to do everything to make sure we were prepared, that he was prepared to support him in that role. So I'm very thankful to him for, trusting in me and giving me that opportunity. Even though we were friends, we were brothers, but he gave me the opportunity to learn under his wing because he had been doing it for a long time. Bam coached
Mm-hmm.
over 20 years.
Yeah.
Then to go to Columbia with him, that also gave experience on a different level. It's different dynamics, different demographics, but the game and the lessons are kind of the same. And then from there, that prepared me to go into that coaching role because I had been doing it for almost 14 years at the time before I became a head coach.
I got a question on the coaching, but I'm gonna hold that for 1 second. But just
Okay.
even just hearing about you mentioned being in the business world, making X amount of dollars, and then just finding just this joy of being around helping the younger people. Well, I don't know if whether it's third grade or high school is here. Like, was it an easy shift? I mean, because again, you're giving up some bread,
Mm-hmm.
but you're giving up some bread, but also giving more time to what you're doing now. So it
Yeah.
necessarily didn't balance out. I mean, like, how did you work through all of that?
So financially, it was a big difference. I'll be honest, like to be in your 20s at that time and having, 6-figure salaries. And again, I mentioned the company car, not as it just helped because I didn't have to pay for gas. I didn't
Right.
have to pay for insurance. So just those things, right? Plus the salary, plus the perks of being in sales, entertaining clients. I had box seats for Nets, Knicks, Mets, Yankees, Devils, Eagles, and the 76ers. So literally, I could go to every single game if I wanted to. If so, that was at that age, at that time, it
Oh
was a
yeah.
great
Oh yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
So to take that away, to go into paying for your own insurance and your own car and taking a drastic pay cut, it was tough. But like I said, I think that you hear those old cliches and sayings like if you find something that you love, you truly love, you never work a day in your life. And for
Right.
me, I think that was really it, like the impact that I could actually see, saving lives and literally saving lives for some of those situations in Irvington and having that impact. It was just worth um, the shift and financial
Mhm.
costs, but it was worth it in the payoff that you got down the line. And knowing that if I did pursue it, I would just pursue education the way I pursued business until I got to where I
Mhm.
wanted to be. So it worked itself out. Again, another decision that I made that was a great decision for me.
Now, what was family and all of this here? Like, I mean, you being young in your 20s here. I mean,
Yeah.
all that play a role in all of this.
Well, luckily I was single, so I didn't have
Mhm.
to, the financial part. I didn't have to come home and explain to my wife how I was going to go from, X amount to X amount, just for joy, right? So I was able to make those decisions. I was able to make some smart investments early
Mhm.
on when I was young in real estate and stock that kind of kept me at a situation where I was okay, and I was able, I still had enough freedom to move the way I needed to move. So I think that made it a little bit easier for me to transition, and it wasn't like a huge, impact in terms of me being able to live the lifestyle I wanted to live still. So
Mhm.
it worked out.
That, now, did you want to start a family at any point?
I did. For me, I'm still single. I'm still not married.
Hmm.
And for me, I always wanted to have, if I was going to start a family, I wanted to be married. I didn't want to
Okay.
start a family outside of that. And so obviously the marriage situation never happened for me. So I never really started a family. I just stayed single. And I think that from a coaching perspective, in a weird way, it kind of helped me just because all of my time, for the
Yeah.
most part, was kind of dedicated to these kids. These kids are these students or student athletes and kids are like my kids. So I
That's right.
spend a real significant amount of time training them and teaching them life lessons outside of basketball, like they're my own, you know.
Mm.
So,
East Orange campus here, like them combining East Orange High and Scott together at that point here, you get this position. This position to be a coach in East Orange is legendary. I mean, obviously, Billy had his run. It was however people want to believe how that situation ended, but Billy did his thing when he was there.
mm-hmm.
Just previous coaches, just the history of East Orange itself, whether you want to go with Scott, with, Mr. Tange, you want to go over to East Orange, you talking about the Bob Lesters of the world. I know I'm dating back a little bit. So just
Yeah.
your first high school coaching gig. I'm sure there was people lining up to get this position, or a couple of them dollars that you had. Did you pay someone off to get this spot? What happened there?
Yeah, you would think I did the way people were reacting, but no, there were people lined up. Obviously for the job, it's a big public school. It's a lot of attention on it. And the one thing about East Orange is it is a very close knit sort of community where everybody kind of knows each other. So
And I
in a lot
forgot
of ways,
Joe. Joe coached it too. I forgot Joe
mm-hmm,
was there too
yep.
for a second.
Yeah. So what ended up happening, going through the interview process, I ended up being, the best candidate in their eyes for the job for a lot of reasons. And then from there, to be honest, right, there were a lot of people that didn't like it, right? There were a
Mm,
lot of people that didn't like it because for whatever reason, but you would hear, well, he's not from here, or he didn't grow up in East Orange, and and not that there's a lot of coaches that didn't grow up in the town or the city that they work in, but
yeah.
they do great things. So that was the initial part. I wasn't a quote unquote East Orange guy. So from a lot of people that just the buzz was that. Then once I got in and people in East Orange that were kind of in the know that really mattered, not just the peanut gallery and they saw what I was doing with the children, with our kids, and both in the school and out, how we presented ourselves, how we conducted ourselves. So then the eyes started opening, like, oh wow, like he is the right guy. Um, so and then the first year I came here, when I walked in, the year before they were 4-21. The year before that, they were 5-18. So the program wasn't at a high level. Um, my first year, I had 3 kids transfer out with
Mm,
with help and pressure from people within East Orange. They was trying to
mm,
do anything they can to get people out and not have them support me. That's just the truth.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, Fortunately, I did have, I said, some key people that mattered that did support, the program, and we were able to build it. We were just under 500 that first year. Had pretty much young guys, and like I said, 3 out of the 5 starters left for different reasons, not just because I was there, but they were leaving anyway. I didn't. By the time I got the job in July, school was out. Kids didn't even know I was going to be the coach, so they were
Hmm.
making their decisions before I even got to them. So we built that first year, and I said, the next year we put the work in, we'll be able to turn the program around. So I took it from 4-21 to 9-13 that first year, and then my second year, one of the most successful regular seasons in East Orange campuses, we were 24-4. Won
Mm,
our, won the conference. Ended up losing the state that year, but to turn it around from 9-13 to 24-4 was quicker than I thought. I had it on a 3-5, and we were able to turn it around. And from there, you could go season by season. In 6 years, we've had a lot of success. So
No, definitely here. And I know being somewhat modest here. I mean, the coaches of the year, as well as a couple of times in the conference, just recently fresh off a Essex County Coach of the Year award as well, too, man. Just with all the great teams and everything else for you to stand out like that, man, it's crazy. And just the ascending of the team, as you just mentioned, where you started from to where you're at here. What's your coaching style like?
Oh man, it's intense. It's
Okay.
intense. I'm a passionate guy. I'm passionate for our young people, and I just want them to do everything with 100% passion and effort. Whether it's basketball, whether in the classroom,
Hmm.
just be the very best you can be. And if you're not putting in the work to do that, you're cheating yourself, and you'll never be as successful as you can be. So teaching them that and never being complacent, and it's a certain culture that we built here that transcends. Hopefully, it transcends me and it continues to go on. But we kind of set that tone early, and once that culture shift started, then everything else became easier. Once the expectation level was set and the bar was
Hmm.
high, um, relaying that message to people became easy. In the beginning, it was tough because there was no structure there. But once we got it going, it turned around pretty quickly, and not just on a varsity level, but all the way throughout the program. We built a program with certain
Hmm.
ten certain principles. So just trying to keep pushing it forward and just get better every year. That's always the goal.
And you said something key too. It's not a team, it's a program. You know what I mean? When you start changing the language of things too, things get looked at differently here. And I
Absolutely.
know you being the presence in the school here and just thinking about the East Orange environment and social economics and some it's just a challenge just to get to the school, each day. So you think your presence, just actually being in the school help translates on the court as well too?
Absolutely. I mean, being here, and I would go on to say, from different experiences, like when we were at Irvington, Bam was in the building, and so much can happen in a day
Hmm.
in some of our, urban school districts, if you just want to be honest. Things happen. And to be there and be in tune with what's going on, it kind of gives you a better perspective and how to deal with your kids at the end of the day, or how to deal with what's going on in practice. Um, so then when we transferred to Columbia, Bam wasn't in the building. And even at
Hmm.
Columbia, different demographic somewhat, but it's still just not being in the building. You just miss out on a lot. You just miss out on
Hmm.
certain things. So if possible, being in the building is always a plus. Just because you have your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and it
Hmm.
allows you to do things. But the one thing I'll say is, when you're in these school districts in urban areas, you got to make sure that the education is there, right? The
Yes.
top piece is there, because if not, you'll lose members of your community just off of that alone. And you got to do a job of, you know, explaining or communicating to people those successes. Because if you
Hmm.
don't, that's another thing you learn, that people just go off of what they hear. People just go off of, well, I heard this and that happened, but they don't know
Hmm.
about all the good things that happen. They don't hear about the successes, the kids that we're sending to college. Like, that's a big thing for me. Like, I always see me
Oh yeah.
promoting going to school and who's on academic honor roll, and that's one of the goals for my program, is for everybody to be on honor roll. So you
Hmm.
start changing the narrative, you start changing the perception, then you start attracting the people to your program. If you don't change those what could be perceived as negative uh, perspectives, then you'll never be able to build a program as strong as it could be. So now I start to get, the children that might have been, lured to one of these Catholics or private schools, when they can stay right here, and you got a good program here, you have good academics here, you got different school options here. I have a school that specializes in STEM, and
Hmm.
they go there. I have a school that specializes in performing arts. You have the ability to go there. I got here a campus where you got a good principal, good administrative staff, changed the whole dynamic, got a good business program. We got culinary here. We got
Mm.
construction, cosmetology. There's a whole lot going on that people don't know about. So once you start talking about those things and opening eyes, all right, it starts to build and you get, more successful because you get more people attracted to come to you.
The attraction plus more support and everything
Yep.
else that aligns with
More
that. Absolutely.
resources, more support, it kind of
Hmm.
all goes in line. And
Oh yeah.
I will say, we've been fortunate in building that culture and building that program. And I'm not shy about sharing those things because it should be shared, right? We need to share
Hmm.
those successes. That has allowed us to get support from a lot of people, the mayor, council people, our administrators, uh, all the way throughout East Orange have been great in supporting our program. So, I wouldn't be able to do it if we didn't have that kind of support, you know?
And I'm gonna ask. You don't have to answer, but I'm gonna ask with everything going on over there, as far as with
Yeah.
the layoffs, how you holding up? I mean, is it going to impact? I mean, it's going to impact, period. But is it directly going to hit you as far as this where you at and everything? Because I know there's some letters that went out, and East
Yeah.
Orange has nationally made the news here. So, like,
Yeah.
how you holding up?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that that it came to that.
Hmm.
When you look back at it, years now, they'll get it right and get the boat steered on the right path. But I think things happened over the course of time, and
Hmm.
and it caught up. Just like anything else, if you let things
Yeah.
go without correcting it, at a certain point, you got to make decisions. So what I'll say to that is, I think it was unfortunate. You got people that are good people for our children. And that's first. I always keep our children in mind first. So you got good people that our children may lose or have connections with, and that's never a good thing. But again, when things have to be done, um, it doesn't always fall the way it should. That's kind of like
Right.
how life
Right.
works. So I think, overall, when it's all said and done, like my dad always used to say, life goes on. You got to keep on moving. And I think that however it goes, either way, um, you regather, you reboot, and you move forward. So hopefully, they'll be able to figure it out, and hopefully, I can still be a part of this community that I'm ingrained in. So we'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
No, definitely, definitely. With the whole sports thing here, like what has it given you that sticks with you to this day, being involved in sports
In general, or here in East Orange?
in general?
In general, for me, I think sports it teaches so many life lessons that are transferable. Um, Being a good teammate transfers to whatever you want to do in life, right? If I get it, when I was in corporate, we had team building, right? You had certain teams that you were involved in where you had to work with other people. You had to collaborate. You couldn't just be in a silo. I mean, if you work in
Mhm.
certain industries, maybe tech side is kind of siloed. You're in your own world. But when you're in business, when you're in sales, when you're in marketing, you have to work with a team. And I think
Mhm.
sports, probably more than anything else, teaches you how to sacrifice for the benefit of the team. You have to be a good leader. You have to be a good communicator. At least in my program, you do. Like we literally, I force my kids, force them to have conversations every day. We have to
Yeah.
talk. Before we do anything, we have to talk. Ask your teammate how his day went. Ask your teammate, what is he into outside of sports? Get to know each other and speak because a lot of our youth, what do they want to do? They
Right.
text, right? And I'm not one of these old people that say, texting. I like technology. I embrace it. I think they should. I just think they also need those skills because those soft skills and learn how to communicate, how to look someone in the eye and shake his hand, how to lead a group, right? All of those things that I'm asking them to do, they're going to need to do that, and it makes them that much more successful. I
Oh
just
yeah.
had a recent situation. We have a shooting machine that's been here probably since campus opened in 2003. So it conked out. It's done. And it benefited us to use that machine because my kids are committed. We get there, they get there 5 and 6 in the morning to get shots up on their own. Um, so as a result of that, and not the only reason, but as a big result of that, we led the county in 3-point shots made. last year.
Mm.
I think we might have been top three in the state in total 3 points made. So that was a big part of what we do. So um, I told the kid, I said, listen, hey, shoot machine's down. We got to find a way to try and find someone to help us, support us to get one. It's not a lot of funds in the district, obviously, right? So what are we going to do? Are we going to just, not have it, or are we going to try to get out on our own and fundraise? So they got together, they created a proposal, they went and presented it to some companies, and they ended up getting 3 sponsors to get them that shooting machine. I wasn't involved in the process. I sent them to the meeting on their own. I was there, but I was outside. I let them present on their own. And then after the meeting, the result was, okay, we're going to try and help you guys out. So I sat with them and we brainstormed about, okay, what do we need to do moving forward? Well, you need to follow up. You need to
Right.
call. You need to do that. So I had them do that, which led to further meetings. And long story short, they ended up securing a sponsorship to get a brand new shooting machine. So after that was done, one of the final pieces was they needed to get the invoice so they could help us out. And so they texted the student athletes and said, hey, can you send us the invoice? They
Mm-hmm.
sent them the copy of it from the company. And then I asked them, I said, hey, just curious, if you were sponsoring someone and giving them money to help them out, would you be more impacted if they sent you a text with a picture? Or would you be impacted if they actually came and presented it to you in person? And they all said, I think in person. I said,
Mm-hmm.
so do you think this text is good enough, or do you think we need to go there? They said we need to go there. So all 16 of them walked to the businesses and presented it themselves. And I think that helped really secure, like, these kids are really passionate about it. And if you're someone on receiving that, you're like, I'm gonna do what I can to help these kids because they really want it. So that was a small sample of the kind of success that we do within our program that helps them later in life beyond, sports.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that transcends outside of high school, everything else here. And that's just, again, it's a reflection of the head coach as well, too. So I don't want to minimize that, but I think to your point, though, putting them in front of the people here, initiating all that, oh, yeah, that'll stay with them the rest of their lives.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I know my time is limited, but you're going to give me about a few more minutes here.
You got time. Usually we have a football game. We have a playoff game today against Montclair,
Mhm.
second time around, but so it's not a 1 p.m. start. It doesn't start till 2. So I got a little extra time today.
All right. Okay.
All right?
Nah, no problem. No, but I still want to make sure you get up out of it. It's
Yeah,
it's gonna be packed. East Orange, Montclair. Yeah,
it's gonna
yeah,
be
I
a
got a
big
good
one.
one.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and you got Montclair people up in your school too. You got Lenny over there, Lenny Watkins. I know he's over
yeah.
there.
You got
So
Watkins. You got Miss
yeah,
Brantley. You
yeah,
got
yes, yeah,
yeah. You got a few, about 4 or 5.
yeah. You got a few Montclair folks, so I know they
Yep,
torn. So,
yep, yep.
but I'm gonna put you on the spot here before we bail out here, man. Just some random stuff here. Have some fun with
Let's
this
go,
here.
man. I'm ready.
Cool, cool. When in the whip here, you prefer the Parkway or the Turnpike?
Oh man, story of my life on that parkway. I feel like I lose seconds
Mm.
every day. So definitely the turnpike all day, every day.
Oh, okay, okay. Take you back. Great Adventure Action Park.
Great adventure. Great
Okay,
adventure.
okay. Block Party or the club?
Whew. From a personal standpoint, I would say block party just because of the community effect. From a business
Hmm.
standpoint, I say the club because there was a time in my 20s where I owned an entertainment business and had a lot of good times in the clubs. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm gonna keep the club thing on this one too, since we and I throw a little Irvington in there. Marlowe's or the Peppermint?
Oh, peppermint.
Okay,
Peppermint.
okay, okay, okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not even gonna expound on that one. Peppermint. Yeah,
No,
peppermint.
all good here. Street Smith or Slam?
Street and Smith. They were the pioneers to get
Yeah.
names out there. Like they were people that played ball that I never saw because we didn't, on YouTube or anything, but I could read that magazine and kind of get a feel for who was doing well in other states that I wanted to compete against.
Hmm. Not coaching when you're not coaching or The only thing work related. What you enjoy doing?
I like to travel, even though I don't get the much as many opportunities to travel as I did prior to coaching because I give my all to this. So off
Hmm.
season, we're in the weight room. Season, we're in season, so it's kind of nonstop. But traveling is one of my passions. I just like to see different things. I like to see the world as much as possible, get out the country, and I encourage our youth to travel. And if you can go away to college, go away to college. Go have that experience of being on your own and seeing other things and not being boxed into this Northeast thing because there's
Hmm.
so much to the world that they need to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coaching or playing?
Coaching,
How
coaching.
come?
Um, I love to play. I'm still, I think I'm probably one of the most competitive people ever. But coaching I love because you get to literally mold and shape and watch the development of young people turn into something that they weren't. And watching
Hmm.
that process from the infancy stage of, especially here, in a public school, I don't have the luxury of getting guys that's just transferring in or guys that don't need to be developed or importing guys from Ireland like some of these schools do. Like I have to develop from scratch. So to watch that process of when they came into when they're finished and how much growth occurs because of that impact, I think I get more out of that than actually playing.
Yeah. And speaking of coaching here, you got a lucky suit.
Yeah, well, I'll put it to you this way. In all the years that I've coached, I've never coached a game without a suit, without a shirt and
Hmm.
tie and a suit. That's just been my style from day one, and I don't think I'll ever get comfortable with the new movement of the sweatsuits and the polo shirt is just not my style. I will say I have an unlucky suit, so if I lose a game in a certain suit, I won't wear it again.
Okay.
It gets put to bed. It
Okay.
gets put to bed. So yeah, I got a couple. Fortunately, we haven't had that many losses in my tenure here, but there's a few suits that I had to put to bed for sure.
Yeah. Best team you ever played on at any level, at any level. Best team you ever played on.
Um, hmm. I'll probably say Roselle Catholic, maybe I think my junior year. We had to be maybe 25-4. Had a really good
Mm,
team. Um, and it was a good mix of like older and younger. Deep, probably one of the deepest teams we played. Like we legit had 10 guys that could like
mm.
shift and maneuver and still not lose much. So that was probably the best team I played on.
Speaking of Roselle Catholic, I mean, what's your feelings is how things have changed over time here with the school and Roselle becoming who they became with the influx of players that came through there. Again, whether they from Ireland, even though I know that might not be the case, but how do you feel just with the basketball being a little different, especially with these parochials?
Yeah, I think I mean I'm happy that they elevated. They had some good years when Briscoe and program elevated. I think it's good in a lot of ways. Um, I just when you talk about parochials and just the times now, I just don't like the way it's being done, where the AAU culture kind of transcends over into some of the high schools with transferring here and transferring there. You got people trying to so steal kids and swipe kids and make promises here and make promises there. But more importantly, you have parents allowing these things to happen and your child is being used and manipulated. And those are the things that I don't like. So um, but overall, for my that particular school and watching the program go, it was fine. If it's done the right way, then so be it. But I see a lot that I don't like, to be honest. And it impacts you as a public school coach, because they coming in
Yes.
and they're plucking and pilfering as much as they can, even while you have kids. They're inviting kids to things that you know trying to steal. So um, I just wish people would put the work in and not always look for the easy fixes. And a lot of times, they're jumping out of the frying pan to go into the fire, think it's going to be better somewhere else. And at the end of the day, it's all competition. If you're not getting the minutes you want, then go work on your game and get better. If you're not playing at the level you think you should be, put the work in so you could get to that level, as opposed to just thinking you could change situations and it's automatically going to change. So that's what I would say.
And how have you dealt with parents throughout your tenure as a head coach? Because I'm sure, there's been some situations.
Yeah, honestly, I've had good rapport
Good,
with my
good.
parents because I'm very transparent in the way things are going to work. In my program, it works a certain way, and I'm very clear in explaining that from the beginning so that the expectations and where the expectations should be are already met there. That way, it's no misunderstanding. That way, you understand that you can't walk up to me and talking about playing time. It's just not going to be allowed. Your child can come to me. Your child can come to me and talk about playing time, but 9 times out of 10, the student athlete knows where they stand because we have those conversations. They know why the next guy is playing more than them. They know what they need to do to get better in order to get on the floor. So that transparency helps, and it kind of um, it makes those parent issues subside because there's not a lot of gray area. Everyone's clear on where they are. A lot of times when you have those issues, it's because either parents were promised something or told that their son's going to start or their son's going to do this. Where with me, you got to earn,
Mhm.
no matter who it is. And if you don't
Yeah.
want to earn, then this is definitely not the place for
Mhm. Nah, nah, good stuff here, man. What in
you.
regards to coaching, not even coaching, but playing, as far as best game you ever played in your life.
Best game I ever
It
played in
can
my life.
and I help you out. It can even be any sport too. That
Okay.
helps.
Um, I think, man, it was a lot of games, man. Best individual game, I think it probably was um against Breath because it was two guys that really got after it and got after each other, and I think I set my school record. I think I had 54 that game. So
Mm.
54 stands out. I scored 60 in a game before too, but 54, I remember it because it was against somebody that was one of the better players. So they'll probably go
Yeah.
back and and,
Oh no,
and
I'm gonna send this to Brad.
you know
Don't worry, I'm gonna
remember.
send this. I'm gonna send it right to him and tell him get to this certain mark of it.
Send his YouTube right on this minute mark. He'll probably deny it, but it's all factual. I never make up stories.
Uh, Now, as far as any threes, so I mean, probably just ton of threes that game, or just if you recall, you just.
It was
I know the
just, I mean,
basket was like an ocean. I know it was like an ocean. The
yeah,
basket
yeah. I mean, but that's what at that time more of a scorer than anything.
score.
I was
Yeah.
averaging like 36, so 54 was
Mm-hmm.
just it was par for the course.
Well, sound like it was just light work.
Yeah, it's what I do.
Man, that not absolutely, absolutely hit. A game as a coach that you like to have back.
That's easy. Ridgewood, Group 4, Section 2 championship final game last year
Mm-hmm.
at Ridgewood on the road. And we ended up losing, uh, I think, by two or three. If I could have
Mm-hmm.
that one back, I would have that one back.
Was it
Sure.
some home cooking, or was it just missed free throws? I
Well,
mean, was it
you could if you could ask the people. I'll leave it to the people. But if it's all there on YouTube, you could watch it. I've been coaching
okay?
for 20 something years, and we had a situation under 10 seconds left. We're at the foul line, and we're down one, and my guy missed the first free throw,
Mm-hmm.
and on the second free throw, he made it. One of my players, they called him for having his toe over the 3-point line. I've been coaching 20 something years. I've never had a toe cross the 3 point. I've seen plenty of toes cross the 3-point line a fraction of a second earlier. That doesn't impact the play. It's never been called.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on who you talk to, somebody by the rule, hey, that's the rule. I got you. I've never
Yeah.
seen it called. But
Yeah.
that day, it was called. So I would like
Mm.
to see how that would have ended up if they let it be in the hands of the player.
Now in Jersey, is that like time up in Connecticut? Is the shot clock now?
No shot clock in Jersey.
There's one
Um,
in Connecticut. That's what I'm asking. They
yeah,
just instituted it about a year
I,
ago.
I hope we get to that point. I mean, it's just at this point, it's kind of ridiculous to not have one for so many reasons. You know, everyone else does at the
Mm.
next level. They do. I can't really see any reason why we don't, except that some of the people that the powers that be have teams that they know wouldn't be able to compete. They can't stall the ball out all
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course, of course, of course. Now, as a player, again, you wish you had back.
day as a player. Um, I would say it was Newark Rams game. I could it's been a while, but I want to say actually no, it was the Newark Youth Games. I played on the Youth Games team.
Hmm.
We traveled to Atlanta and we got to the championship game and we played against Washington D.C. In that game, I had in the semifinal game I had got knee in my inner thigh and I could
Ooh.
barely walk. And
Hmm.
so I tried to play through it, but I just could barely move, and we ended up losing that game by like 1 or 2 points in the end. So wish I
Mm.
could have that one back for sure.
Yeah, yeah. These injuries, huh? They just sneak up on you at the wrong time, huh?
Man, man,
Yeah.
nothing you could do about it, right? Yep.
In your time frame, your 4 years, as far as even I'm taking you back here, your all-time like starting five high school players. If you can make them positionless too, if that helps.
High school players all time in New Jersey. New
I say
Jersey.
Jersey. Let's keep it Jersey.
Huh. I say Dewan Wagner.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Tim Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Shaheen Holloway.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to go bigs here. I would probably say Luther Wright at center.
Mm-hmm.
And hmm, last one's tough. I probably would go Roderick Rhodes. I'm
Right.
saying that
Yeah.
as a high
Yeah.
school player. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'd say Wagner, Shaheen Holloway, Tim Thomas, uh, Roderick Rhodes, and Luther Wright. If I had to pick, those
Yeah.
would be my
And I'm gonna go back to the Rams slightly, real quick with one player here. Like, how special is this man? You played with against him in high school as well too. Wally, people don't realize they take that and one stuff. I'm like, you had to see him even before all that jumped off.
yeah. So Wally, I'll share a memory that kind of caps um, how you've seen the ascension of who he
Mm-hmm.
became. So when I played at Newark Rams, he was older than I was, obviously, but we traveled together. So we played in this game and this might be on some of those mixtapes because I remember it firsthand. So we played this game in New York, UDC it was called, and it was supposed to be outside, but the weather was bad, so they moved the game inside. So we're playing against this team in New York. They had all the big names on the team, and they had this center on their team. He probably was about 6'11", athlete ranked in New York. Can't remember his name. It escapes me right now. So we're playing Brian Crawford, legendary is
Mm-hmm.
coaching. I'm actually playing up on that team. Myself, Lamont Adams, who played at Temple that
Mm-hmm.
went to Hillside, and I think Akil Taylor Linden. We were
Mm-hmm.
all younger, but we played up that game. So we're sitting on the bench. The starting five for this team, it was like Wally, like uh, Dennis Leonard, D Rock. They might have had
Like, did Tariq play with
Lance.
them? Did,
Who?
did Tariq play with them? Goodman.
Yeah, he played on that team too. Tariq Goodman.
Okay.
They had a ridiculous team. And I sometimes I get the years mixed up because we played in so many tournaments. But Tariq Goodman was definitely on that team. It was their 15-year-old team. Long story short, uh, Wally is in the beginning of the game, and Wally comes down, and he always tries to do a left hand lean in dunk. Like that was his go to at the time. So he tries to go up, and he goes up, and the kid from New York punches, just blocks. Boom. No way, buddy, get it out of here. Da, 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 da. He talking crazy. So they score. Brian Crawford calls a timeout. This is some movie stuff. Timeout. We get to the bench. We all in the huddle. We waiting for like some kind of motivating thing. And all he said was, Wally, get in him. He said some other words, but get in his.
Yeah.
That was the timeout. That's all he said. We sitting there. I'm like, okay, we go back out. Play happens. Maybe one or two plays happen in between. So they come down on offense. We get a steal. Wally gets the steal, and he's kind of like at half court, right? At half court on the right hand side because it's opposite the bench. And the big guy is about at half court on the other side, but a little trail in the play. So they're running on a collision course.
Yeah.
On the wing. Wally does this. Right? I'm not making this up. It is on video.
Yeah.
He comes in and he goes to his left hand lean dunk. The kid jumps up with two hands to block it. So as he's going up with his left hand, the kid's over. Wally turns around in the air. So the kid's two hands are on his shoulders and he dunked it backwards and won and fell on the guy. The whole gym, the New York guys, the gym was one of those gyms like Immaculate where the stands were in. They jumped over the gate. They jumped over the rail on the court, hanging on the. It was like an 8-minute delay, and the whole time, Wally's just on the free throw line like this. Didn't say nothing, and that from there, that's when they started calling him. Now he was more of a draw in New York. Even though he was a Jersey dude, New York just loved him from there. And then he just catapulted to another level. So went on to play at Rutgers and
everything else. That's crazy.
But that was legendary. That was probably the best dunk I ever saw in person. Like as I'm on the team. I've seen some, Gerald Green, NBA, Vince Carter's and all that, but I'm talking about in person, in high school, in that moment, in that situation. That was one of the best dunks ever.
Yeah.
Shout out to and Wally main event.
Absolutely, man. Now, how proud are you? Even though you went over to Roselle, how proud are you? Bam, Ramadan, Kenyon, Donald, and all of them. That run they had.
Yeah, super proud. I mean, those are my guys. Irvington made. I was happy to see the success that they had. I was happy to see Bam come back and coach at where he played in high school and then build that program. He had some really good years where he built that program where we had a lot of guys move on, go to college, go to the next level, and all the way up to modern day where right now Elias Brantley's the head coach, and he played for us. He was one of the point guards. Mike Galarcy, I had my first year coaching, he was a freshman, and now he's running Branch Brook Park and neighborhood versus neighborhood games, helping the youth. So to see those guys kind of following our path and what we do and giving back, it means a lot. That's what coaching is all about, right? To see those, it's nothing better than seeing those guys be successful and do those things.
Speaking of Irvington, Irvington High or Hampton?
Hampton all day.
Well, yeah.
And all day.
Best part about being Gabe Baltimore?
Best part about being Gabe Baltimore is just having the freedom and confidence to be my authentic self. I don't try to be, anybody else but me. I'm very straightforward. May not always be politically correct because I'm going to say what I want to say, and I'm good with that, and I'm comfortable in saying that and having that opinion or being solid in my stance on things without wavering. And I've always been that way. So that's the best part.
Yeah. Book on your life. What would you call it?
Say it again.
Book on your life. What would you call it?
Book on my life would be growth.
Mm,
Growth. Um,
mm,
Constantly striving to grow, and if you watch my path, it's growth. But growth doesn't always go linear in a straight line. That growth can go this way, that way, and every
yes.
which way.
Oh,
But
oh yeah.
how you bounce back and how you make yourself stronger through adversity, that's what growth is about for me. And I definitely had my share of adversity in life.
Mm,
Sure.
yeah. And speaking of which, sort of kind of here, that
Mm-hmm.
17, 18-year-old Gabe that's graduating high school here, what would this Gabe, what advice would you give him?
Um, Follow your passions, follow your dreams, and 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 never let other people's expectations stop you from being what you want to be. Right? Don't
Yes.
let other people's um, version of you become that version. Be the version of you that you want to be, regardless.
Mhm.
Because there's going to be a lot of naysayers. There's going to be a lot of doubters. There's going to be people to tell you what you can't do. But the minute you believe that, that's the minute that it's going to be a shortcoming for you for reaching where you want to be.
Your parents,
Yeah,
what would they say about you now?
they're proud, man. They're proud. My mom is proud, and I know it because everybody I talk to says your mother talks about you all the time. So she supported me, all my life, and I'm thankful to have a parent that sacrificed everything she had for me. And my dad, he's no longer with me. He passed when I was younger, but he, for the time that I had him, instilling manhood and what it takes to be a man by not just telling me, but watching him, and watching him be a father and the way he treated my mom, the way he, was active in the community. So watching him grow up, it's important. And having a man in your life, fortunately for me, I had a father in my life that was a strong father. It's priceless, man. It's definitely priceless.
What's on deck for you here? I mean, I know we got the season coming up here. We got just in general here. What's on deck?
Yeah, so right now, I'm here, man. Everybody asks the questions all the time. You're gonna go to college level, you're gonna move on, this and that. And right now I'm in the moment. I'm in the moment
Yeah.
with my guys. I got some young guys here that I really see, a bright future for. So I really like to see them all the way through the process. I got a
Mhm.
sophomore, James Roberts, right now, who started for me last year as a freshman. That's really a special kid, and I would like to, if I could, see him all the way through to that Division I
Yeah.
scholarship. You know,
No.
so
I got to
that's
ask a coach, since you're a coach. How do you like the whole Super Essex conference? Like, y'all play each other all the time, and then you play again in the counties and everything else. So you like just seeing everybody all the time here, or versus that have the teams from different spots of different counties or what have you?
I like it. I like it for this reason, and maybe it's just because a sign of the times. I think Essex County basketball is probably the best county of basketball in the state, maybe arguably with Union County. All right,
Hmm.
Union County, Essex County. There's just a certain level there that, and I watch a lot of basketball, and this is not a knock to any other county. Everybody could have an opinion, but when I look top to bottom over the last couple of years, you see most of the top teams fall within those counties. Um, what I would say, if I had to be in charge of Essex County, and some suggestions that I would make would be, um, in every 2 years now, based on your record, they can move you up or down, right? You got
Hmm.
top division, and then there's like 5 other divisions under that. Um, I think there's enough schools now that recruit in the Essex
Hmm.
County that I think those teams that are allowed to recruit should be in their own division, right? So in that top division, you can have the 5 or 6 teams that can recruit the publics, or I mean, I'm sorry, the private schools that can recruit, and some of the publics that can recruit. Let them have their own division because they should be consistently there. Let everyone
Hmm.
else, mostly publics, that can have these cycles because it depends on who enrolls and who lives in your town. Let them follow the 2 year model. And I think that
Okay.
would be more fair and on parity because unlike, I don't have housing like St. Benedict's. I can't
Hmm.
recruit kids from Africa and Ireland. I get kids that live in
Hmm.
East Orange.
Yeah.
Montclair Immaculate, I can't get kids from New York and Patterson and everywhere else. Seton Hall Prep, I can't get kids from everywhere else.
Hmm.
Paint Tech, I can't get kids from all over Essex County. North Tech, I can't get kids from all Essex County. I only get public school. So I think that just for parity purposes, I think that would be something that they might want to look at in the future and group those schools together, or magnet school, arts or these other schools that can get kids from other places. Group them together, let them play and battle out, let everyone else be on
Hmm.
part. But me personally, again, I like competition, so the competition that I like playing those schools, and
Hmm.
and playing up to that level of competition. It doesn't bother me, but I know the general feeling just from talking to other coaches. I think they would kind of agree with the latter of what I said.
Okay.
Me personally, I would do it for parity, but I don't mind. I'll play those schools all day because I
Play who on
know
the schedule? Yeah.
still sharp and still. And then it also gives me the autonomy. You know, I play 5 teams twice. That's 10 games. You could play 24 games in a season max. So I can still schedule, and I played schools outside of Essex County just so we could get a good mix of. I play schools in
Okay.
South Jersey. I play schools in North Jersey. I play schools everywhere. I've driven to Hackettstown. Like I play anybody just to give us that, dynamic so that when we're in the county, we're in the state, we're kind of prepared for all different styles. But playing in that top division in Essex County is a gauntlet because I would go on record to say even this year, I would say 4 or 5 of those teams might end up in the top 20,
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
state, and they're all in my division.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Nah, definitely, man. Definitely. I gotta get to a game. I gotta get to a game. So I'm gonna check that schedule out. Y'all don't play Immaculate, do y'all?
We do. We play Immaculate twice. Actually, I open with Immaculate on December
Yo.
14th at JFK in Patterson. It's a tip-off classic
Okay.
at 3 o'clock, 3:05.
Okay. Okay. And then you see him later on. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
and
what
then
I'm talking.
later on they come here. But I'll definitely get you a schedule. It's all done, and if you can come on out, man.
No, definitely, man. But even before that, Gabe, I just want to say how proud I am of you, man. Like I said, just the evolution, and you mentioned the word growth when describing the book here, but that's what it's about. And I mean, I think you epitomized that. And just this, like I said, see us little bald head, nappy little kids running around, driving coaches crazy, at 12,
Absolutely,
13 years old to now, man, like I said, it's been cool to see. And folks don't have to talk all the time, what have you, but with social media and everything else, you can see what everybody's doing or what have you, and then get brought up in conversations, what have you, man. Like I said, I'm proud of you, man, and thank you for just giving me this opportunity just to chop it up, somewhat with you here as far as with everything, man. I wish you all the success in regards to the season, but even outside of the season here, and those young men. They know never gonna forget you, and always just share it. I always say, you engrave your name in the hearts of kids, you live forever.
absolutely.
So thank you for everything that you're doing and continue to do, man. Like I said, I'm very proud of you, man.
I appreciate you, man. And I usually don't. I'm not. I have to get better. I challenge myself sometimes. I'm not the guy that likes to be in the front, right? I like to play the
Hmm.
background and do my business with my kids and just keep it on the low. I don't ever want to be on the radar. I don't want to be ranked. I don't want none of that, right? That's just
Hmm.
how I am. I've always been. But I also realize, like I said, I need to do better in letting people know, like some of the things that we do to hopefully inspire other people, if for nothing
Hmm.
else, and get the name out. So I'm working on it. So if I never give anybody an interview, I always do it for you, bro. Appreciate you.
Nah. Thank you, man. And get to that game here. So hopefully, I ain't gonna say who I want to win, but hopefully it's a good game.
No, I'm gonna tell you, Montclair they got the first one, and East
Yeah.
Orange is gonna get it today.
Yeah, we're gonna see that. And like I said, I know Jermaine, has some battles over there at Montclair. So, but like I said, but when you got Montclair, it go either way, man. You're gonna get a crowd, you're gonna get the old heads, the new heads, and just have some fun. Have some fun. You got good weather for it.
Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you.
Now we'll talk.
All right, man. Stay up.
No doubt, no doubt.
All
Peace.
right.
Good stuff here. Now, Gabe, thank you, man. And as I mentioned to you, how proud I am of you here. Just what you're doing with men, women, what have you, as far as education here, and just continue to just do your thing, man. Thank you. With that being said, I'm just going to step away. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.